go back up north, still on the East Coast. Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf signs a disaster emergency declaration in response to the escalation of protests across the state. We have with us Eagle News correspondent Myla Simbulan from Swarthmore. Myla, aloha.
Thanks, Alfred. Yesterday, violent protests erupted in different parts of the state. There were stop looting, smashing of windows and doors, arson, properties were destroyed, and people were hurt. That's why Governor Tom Wolf signed a disaster emergency declaration to provide assistance to cities in response to the escalation of protests in multiple parts of the state. Let's watch.
Again, yesterday was a challenging day for the Commonwealth. Many Pennsylvanians joined together to speak out against injustice, and they made their voices heard peacefully. In some of our cities, however, including Philadelphia, Harrisburg, and Pittsburgh, some people took advantage of these peaceful protests, and they incited violence and looting. I worked closely with these cities and with others. I activated the Commonwealth Response Coordination Center, and I signed a disaster declaration to provide any assistance necessary to the affected cities. And our state police helped in response, along with our Capitol Police right here in Harrisburg. Working with the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, and you'll hear from Randy in just a minute, and the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, at the request of some municipalities, we activated National Guard members, again, to keep our communities safe.
Governor Wolf also declared a disaster emergency declaration and activated the Commonwealth Response Coordination Center at the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, or PEMA, which will track emergency operations in Dauphin, Philadelphia, and Allegheny counties. Director of PEMA, Randy Padfield, also explained mutual aid, resource requests, and use of the National Guard across the state. According to Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney, this emergency declaration will help Philadelphia access resources and police support from other jurisdictions, including other states, as we manage the impact of this weekend's demonstrations. Mayor Kenney also announced citywide curfew from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., which initially was announced at 8 p.m. but later changed to 6 p.m., and only essential persons are permitted to go outdoors. All businesses in Philadelphia were also ordered to remain closed as police officers and city officials try to control the violent riots. National Guard is expected to arrive tonight in an anticipation of more violent protests. In Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Myla Simbulan, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Alfred.
Mahalo for that report, Myla. And just for the sake of our audience, as far as Swarthmore, Pennsylvania. Now, the big cities that most of us are familiar with in Pennsylvania is Pittsburgh out west and Philadelphia out east, where you're closer with, which is, I think, 30 minutes from Swarthmore. Is that correct?
That's correct, Alfred.
Yeah. So, now, of course, being closer to Philadelphia, what are some of the reactions, in light of the protests there, in multiple locations, even in your neighborhood, anything that you've observed?
So there's sadness and anger, but mostly disappointments that these protesters opted to turn a supposedly peace protest and turned it into a violent, hurtful, and disastrous one. I mean, there's nothing wrong in speaking out against oppression or injustice, making our voices heard, but peacefully. So in where I'm living right now, it's in the suburb. There's not even any police presence right now. But in Philadelphia, every time I watch the news, you can see all the police, the heavy police presence, which you would feel that really they're anticipating more violent protests. So That's what's happening right now in where I'm at.
Well, you take care of yourself and your loved ones there, Mila, and we hope to hear from you with other reports with this unrest and, of course, the ongoing pandemic. Please take care of yourself, all right? Thank you for the
Thank you.
report.
You too. Thank you, Alfred. You too.